Hello and welcome. Tonight, massive protest in Lagos. Fans of Afrobeat singer Mohbad gather to honor him in a candlelight procession as police conclude autopsy on his body. Hope may be on the horizon for families of core members who were abducted on their way to camp in Zamfara State, as the NYSC assures that they will soon be released by their abductors. It's Victory Day for Enugu State Governor Peter Mba as the Election Petition Tribunal upholds his victory, dismisses the petitions of the Labour Party, People's Redemption Party candidates. And a day after Governor Abba Yusuf was sacked by the Election Petition Tribunal, the New Nigeria People's Party rejects the court's decision, heads to the Court of Appeal.
On business news tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria postpones Monetary Policy Committee meeting for the second time in its history.
On sports news tonight, Jurgen Klopp becomes the first Liverpool manager to reach 50 wins in European competitions as the Reds come from behind to beat Lask in the Europa League.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, stop weaponizing human rights advocacy to limit Africa's growth potential. The president urges Western nations as he meets United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres, and also calls for financial partnership between the United States and Nigeria at a business roundtable.
And in international news from London, one of Ukraine's staunchest allies, Poland, has said it is no longer supplying weapons to its neighbour as a diplomatic dispute over grain escalates.
The death of Afrobeat singer Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, also known as Mohbad, has continued to attract protests in various parts of the country and outside the shores of the nation, as his fans march in the streets calling for justice for Mohbad.
Before we go on with the candle procession, where is the ambulance? Doctor, please come here right now. We are okay, see, ambulance, one person on faint for you. Ambulance, please come on, please. Right now, right now, right now, right now. We are at the States. I want them to turn this light off. Turn this light off. Turn the lights off.
A candlelight procession held at the Muri Okunola Park in Victoria Island, Lagos, attracting celebrities, Afrobeat superstars Davido and Zlatan, comedian Cute Abiola, and others led the tribute procession. The rally, which has been tagged Justice for Mohbad in acknowledgement of the controversial events around him before he died, started from the Lekki Phase 1 Estate Gate and went through Ozumbambadiwe to the Muri Okunola Park in Victoria Island. The mammoth crowd that turned up, however, made it impossible for the organizers to follow through with the proposed farewell concert, as organizers were forced to shut down way earlier than planned to the displeasure of the excited crowd. Similar protests have also been held in other parts of the country.
Ladies and gentlemen.
From Ado-Ekiti in Ekiti State to Ibadan in Oyo State and Osun State to Peckham in the United Kingdom, the message is the same: justice for Mohbad. Fans throng these cities to celebrate the memory of the late singer and demand an investigation into the circumstances that surround the death of the former Malian singer. In Ekiti, the youth, in their thousands, displayed placards and donned black outfits to identify with the mass movement as the procession goes from Exu Road axis of Ado-Ekiti to the popular Fajuyi Park.
Mohbad must get justice, and we really need it, justice for Mohbad, and that's the main reason why we are here too, and for the peaceful rally for Mohbad. Mohbad is from Ekiti State, and we are here for the peaceful rally and to ensure that federal government give us that justice.
In Oyo State, the protesters take to the streets, dressed in all black, some lighting candles, some holding up posters of Mohbad as they marched to his music playing through the speakers. In Osun State, the crowd is massive. The overhead shot shows a countless number of young people marching and singing Mohbad's song loudly, holding candles and catbirds with "Justice for Mohbad" boldly written on them.
What we want to say to Nigeria now is that please, especially our parents and the boys like we that are coming up, that if we see any label, they are promising us some things that we should not just jump inside the label. That we don't know what we are going to drop inside. Because many people are voicing out now. We are happy that many people are voicing out now. They are talking. They are saying what their eyes have been seeing. And what I want to do is that we should please, no matter how the depression, no matter how people that are molesting, we should try and voice out.
Fans of Mohbad in London hold a candlelight procession for him, walking to his music. Some hold up their phones and others candles.
They killed Mohbad, they killed him. It is not smelling.
And there appears to be more questions begging for answers regarding the death of Afrobeat singer Ilerioluwa Oladimeji Aloba, popularly known as Mohbad. This comes as police authorities in Lagos State say they have concluded the autopsy on Mohbad's body and are awaiting the result. The police exhumed the body as part of the investigation to unravel the cause of his death.
And he's our friend. We would not leave you now. We may have failed him in life, but we will not fail him today.
While the investigation continues, Mohbad's grieving and emotional mother has been calling for help over the son's death. Now, she made the call during the visit of some sympathizers to her home in Lekki, Lagos, to commiserate with her following the death of her son. Now, some of those who visited include the chairman, Senate Committee on Entertainment Economy, Senator Elisha Abo, who promised to lead the campaign for a creative economy commission where disputes in the creative industry, including record label and artist contract disputes, can be resolved to avoid self-help. Others were Nollywood actresses Iyabo Ojo and Tonto Dike. Speaking to journalists, Ms. Ojo explains.
But the most important thing is that they are working. So even as at now, I am receiving a lot of information and reports. And we will not just receive them, and that's to the general public. We're not just going to receive this and believe that, okay, we're going to receive this information and do a proper follow-up to see that it's actually, happening. And we're going to help the police by giving them every information that we have that can help Mohbad's case get justice. Justice will definitely be served, because this one is no retreat, no surrender. At the end of the day, we are doing it not just for Mohbad, but we are doing it for all our children and young ones out there. We need to keep the environment safe for them. It is time. The environment is polluted with drugs and a lot of things, and it's time that we have to purge it, we have to flush them out.
Moving on, the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Yushau Ahmed, is giving the assurance that the kidnapped Corps members in Zamfara State would be released soon. He stated this when he appeared before the House Committee on Youth, where he outlined efforts made so far to secure the release of the Corps members. The committee, on its part, directed the NYSC DG to visit the families of those kidnapped within 7 days. Our correspondent, Terry Kumi, reports.
The House of Representatives Committee on Youth meets with the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps over the abduction of 8 Corps members in Zamfara State. The incident happened on their way to Sokoto State for the orientation program on the 19th of August this year. On September 20, the NYSC DG announced that one of the Corps members had been released, with the other 7 still in captivity.
To sum it all, we are on it. And I want to assure the House members, God's willing, we will get these prospective corps members out.
Think about a rehabilitation program for these corps members when they come back, because trauma is real. By the time they come back now, to mix up becomes a problem. Some of them may not even be able to travel.
Lawmakers raised questions bordering on the safety and welfare of the corps members.
Sometimes ago, because of insecurity nationwide, there are some states that NYSC are not longer posting corps members. But recently, we understood that the NYSC are posting all over the state.
I also want to know if there is any effort to increase allowance of corps members, because you go to some communities, most schools in those communities rely solely on corpers.
The NYSC DG, in his response to the lawmakers, gives his assurances as the committee reaches a resolution.
Any area that is adjudged to be security threat, there, we don't send our corps members there. I must tell you, even if you say no corps member to go to state A, you will see requests from the youth that I want to go to that state A to serve. On the plan, if we have any, to increase the allowances of the corps members. Yes, sir.
Is this the wish of the Committee on Youth Developments that the NYSC management team visits the families of the abductees, the kidnapped corps members, as a way to empathize with them within 7 days? Those in favor of this resolution say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
It's over a month now since the incident, and there are concerns among Nigerians regarding the safety of corps members owing to the insecurity in some parts of the country, with some calling for the cancellation of the scheme and others believing that an amendment to the NYSC Act would make the National Youth Service scheme more impactful. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
To the judiciary, the Enugu State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has dismissed the certificate forgery allegations brought against Governor Peter Mbah by the governorship candidates of the People's Redemption Party and the Labour Party. The tribunal, chaired by Justice Kudirat Akano, held that the petitioners, Mr. Chris Agu of the PRP and Mr. Chijoke Edoga of the LP, failed to prove the allegation of forged NYC certificate, non-qualification to stand for the election as well. It also held that to prove the issue of forgery, the petitioners must provide the original certificate and the forged one, and also that witnesses called by the petitioners could not specify the polling units where elections did not hold. Both the PRP and LP candidates had alleged that Governor Mbah had forged his NYC certificate, and as well as overvoting in some areas during the March the 18th governorship poll. Well, in his reaction to the tribunal judgment, the Enugu State Governor, Peter Mbah, has already described the decision as a victory for democracy and the people of Enugu State. He, however, extended a hand of fellowship to the opposition candidates and their political parties, saying the task to build Enugu remains a collective one. Meanwhile, the Labour Party chairman in the state, Kasmir Agbo, has already condemned the judgment, describing it as a miscarriage of justice.
Politics is over. It is, as you know, we had begun governance since May 29. Yes. And our arms are open and wide. We beckon on those, our brothers we ran this race with, to join hands with us to deal with the task ahead. The task of building the Enugu of our dreams. Yes. So we are going to be urging you, our supporters, to indeed be magnanimous in victory. Let us all join hands together to build the Enugu of our dream.
In part two, after the break, we'll take the reaction, of course, of the Labour Party chairman concerning the tribunal judgment in Enugu State. Please join us again. Well, back to the Enugu State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, where the Labour Party chairman in the state, Kashmir Agbu, has condemned the judgment, describing it as a miscarriage of justice.
When they said that the first respondent, Mr. Peter Mba, who attached a forged NYSC certificate, is not a requirement to contest for governorship election in the state. And we ask these questions. When the law says a forged certificate, it did not mention WAEG or any other thing, but forged certificate. And NYSC is a forged certificate. They don't even go to the extent of telling us whether it is forged or not. The only rule that the subpoenaed witness of NYSC, who was director of certification, did not upload his written statement on oath. And we have to ask, an unwilling witness that you are going to bring to court, will you be willing to provide a statement on oath before the date of the tribunal? The answer is no.
In another legal matter, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court Abuja has restrained the People's Democratic Party at the national level from dissolving the Rivers chapter of the State Executive Committee over alleged anti-party activities. Delivering judgment, Justice Ekwo held that he found that the case of the plaintiff, Mr. Desmond Akao, who is the chairman of the State Exco, had merit. The judge, who granted all Akao's reliefs, declared that the party and its national chairman cannot unilaterally and without reasonable cause dissolve the state excos who were democratically elected for a 4-year period. He also gave an order of injunction restraining them from appointing any person or group of persons as interim caretaker committee in the state until May the 22nd, 2024. Mr. Akao had sued the party and the immediate past PDP national chairman, Dr. Yocha Ayu, and members of the National Working Committee and National Executive Committee as first and second defendants. He maintained that the PDP and its national chairman on January the 4th, 2023, prior to the general elections, threatened to unilaterally dissolve the River State Exco and replace the same with an interim caretaker committee. The Kano State Governor, Abu Yusuf, has appealed to residents of the state, especially his supporters, to remain calm and be law-abiding. Now, this is coming after the Governorship Tribunal ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to withdraw his certificate of return and then issue it to the All Progressives Congress candidate, Mr. Nasiru Gawuna. Meanwhile, at a press conference in Abuja, the NNPP rejected the tribunal verdict.
Supporters of Governor Abba Kabir of Kano State gather at the government house as the governor speaks on the state government's tribunal verdict, which removed him as governor. While calling for calm, the governor points out some errors in the judgment.
As human beings, their judgment may not be absolutely perfect. There are errors and misapplication of the law, as pointed out by our legal team. We have already instructed our legal team to appeal this judgment as soon as possible so as to ensure that justice is done to the good people of Kano State that elected us.
The judgment was delivered under strict conditions as the Justice Oluyemi Akinton of Sadebe-led 3-man panel virtually declared the candidate of the All Progressives Congress as the winner of the election. A decision that the New Nigeria People's Party has described as a miscarriage of justice.
We wish to state emphatically that although the judgment was a clear and deliberate miscarriage of justice, and therefore a disappointment, our faith in the judiciary remains unshaken. Every discerning person knows that NNPP won in all the elections in Kano State. The APC knew right from the very beginning that it was hugely unpopular in Kano State that led it to declare total war on the people of the state.
Governor Yusuf has 14 days to file an appeal against the tribunal judgment, which must be dispensed within the next 60 days.
If you call it eating the humble pie, you may not be wrong, as the Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has tendered his apologies to his principal, Governor Gordon Obaseki, following the recent rift between both men. The Deputy State Governor waved the olive branch after members of the Catholic Men Organization of Nigeria of the Archdiocese of Benin paid him a courtesy call at his private residence in Benin City, the Edo State capital. The embattled Deputy Governor said he has resumed at his new office, where he was asked to relocate, saying that he's optimistic that his relationship with the State Governor will be normalized soon.
Yeah, we have resumed. But there's still a lot of work to be done there. There's no conference room, so we are working on a lot of things there. So we have resumed. There's no problem about it. The governor have asked us to go there. We are going. I am, like I always tell people, I am a loyal servant. There's nothing that has changed. I took a personal vow to support my governor, and you can see my Catholic people are here. Everything about me, if I have a vow with God, there's nothing that will change it. And I can only wish that that relationship that we have, I pray, I know in the next few days and weeks, it will come back. I'm missing my governor really, but by the grace of God, I know God will touch the governor's heart and touch all of us. And even those that are trying to be in between, God will touch them to know that I mean well. If there's any mistake that I've made as human, it's just human. It's not out of maybe wickedness, because I'm not wicked. I have a very clean heart. And I will use the medium too to appeal to Mr. Governor. If there's anything that I don't know that I've done, please forgive me, so that we can develop our state together. We have just less than how many months? Just 1 year to go. We have been the envy of the entire country. It's still possible. So, Mr. Governor, please, if there's anything you feel that I've done, I am sorry. I need us to work together to finish well and strong, because that is my prayer for you.
Let's now head to the nation's capital, where Victor Mathias is standing by to give us the very latest at our Abuja studios. Great to see you again, Victor.
Absolutely. Great to see you as well, Ayatunde, and welcome to the nation's capital, Abuja. And ahead of the November governorship election in Kogi State, Governor Yahaya Bello has asked members of the All Progressives Congress Governorship Campaign Council to conduct their campaigns on issues and achievements of his administration. He told the council to avoid dwelling on ethnicity or religion, but highlight the ability of the party's candidate, Usman Ododo. Governor Bello stated this in Lokoja, the state capital, during the inauguration of the Kogi State APC Governorship Campaign Council.
It's less than 2 months to the November 11th governorship election in Kogi State. The APC in the state are here to inaugurate the campaign council, and the venue for the event is the glass hall of the government house, Lokoja. Amongst the guests seated here are party faithful, top government functionary, former and 7 members of the National and State Assembly, the governorship candidate and his deputy, and others. Kogi State Governor Mr. Yahaya Bello arrives at the venue, accompanied by the immediate past Deputy Governor, Yomi Awoniyi, and the Minister of Iron and Steel Development, who doubles as the Director General of the Campaign Council.
Thank you and congratulations.
The governor urged members and supporters of the party not to join issues with others who do not have anything to offer to add value to the state and its people. He urged the council to take the campaign to the grassroots and preach the performance of the current administration.
It is not all about me. It is not all about Ododo. it is not all about Salifu. It is not out of ethnicity, religion. It is all about our state. Our dear state, Kogi State. I expect all of you, talk to everyone, educate them. Let them know that Kogi State is more than any country you can think of in Africa, outside Nigeria.
The Director General of the Campaign Council and Minister of Iron and Steel Development, Mr. Shuaibu Audu, charged everyone to shun ethnic agenda that will not affect development in the state.
We must back the right horse. We must back the right party. And we must work in unity to eventually get what we want through, like I said earlier, a process that requires deliberations, that requires patience, that requires a negotiated settlement.
Now that the Campaign Council has been inaugurated, the party looks set to woo electorates for the elections.
Staying with politics in Kogi State, this time the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, is urging the people of the state to vote for the party in the forthcoming governorship election. He promised them that the Labour Party will change the narrative of the state from poverty to economic and infrastructure development. Mr. Obi made this pledge when he unveiled the party's governorship candidate for the election in the state, Mr. Adejo Okeme, in Lokoja, the state capital.
Every place where they steal today is prospering except Kogi State. Kogi State today have Obajana. Everywhere we have a cement facility is prospering except Kogi State. Kogi is where the highest producer of cassava. They want cassava everywhere in the world. They can produce yam, they can produce everything because there's a vast land. But there's poverty everywhere in Kogi State.
Governance is not what you just speak and say what you are not ready to do. God knows my heart. God knows my heart. On November 11th, Kogi is going to be the Dubai of Africa. We are going to partner with the federal government day and night to ensure our River Niger is dredged. So that from Onitsha down to Lokoja to the entire north, we'll have a port. I'll be the first governor that will bring the port to Kogi State.
And outside the shores of the country, the president is urging nations across the world not to use human rights advocacy as a weapon to stop African nations from taking steps needed to reform their economies. According to the media aide to the president, Ajuri Ngelale, the president stated this when he met with the Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. Antonio Guterres, on the sidelines of the ongoing 78th UN General Assembly in New York. He said Africans are facing great challenges, of those he described as scavengers ravaging the continent's lands and oppressing its people on illegal mines, taking our gold and mineral wealth back to developed economies by stealth. Meanwhile, the president also met with top U.S. government officials and Nigerian business leaders during the U.S.-Nigeria Business Roundtable at the NASDAQ Stock Exchange in New York. Our Washington correspondent, Maria Bird, has more.
Business leaders from around the world gathered at NASDAQ in New York City to discuss U.S.-Nigeria business relations.
We see Nigerians coming to the forefront of the American business community on a daily basis is truly exciting. It helps us understand your culture, it helps your culture understand ours.
President Tinubu gave clear indication that he is ready and open for relations with U.S. and Nigeria to grow even further, and that Nigeria is prime and ripe for business opportunities.
Let's partner. What you know of the Central Bank of Nigeria of day before yesterday is gone. It's a new beginning.
is a major one. For Nigeria, we are determined. We just don't want to go it alone.
Leaders and government officials from Nigeria and the U.S. discussed business relations. Nigeria Exchange CEO gave an impassioned speech about why it's important that the U.S. and Nigeria do business together, and specifically spoke on a partnership between Nigeria Exchange and NASDAQ.
I'm honored to address this esteemed gathering today, representing the dynamic partnership between the United States and Nigeria. The address will seek to explore ways by which the Nigerian capital market can unlock increased prosperity for the Nigerian economy and maximize the return on capital for the investor community through government support and partnerships for growth.
The U.S.-Nigeria roundtable ignited much passion from both the U.S. and Nigeria as discussions focused on being able to build partnerships and to increase business opportunities between the two countries. Also noting that trade is going to be key and important for both Nigeria and the U.S. From New York City, Maria Bird, Channel Television News.
And from New York, we head back to Lagos, where Tunde will be standing by to continue with the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Victor. Africa Missions Global, a faith-based not-for-profit organization founded in 1996, has held its first edition of an initiative known as Horizon 2033 in Manhattan, New York. The program aims to impact 100 million lives by the year 2033 and was created by Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye and her husband, the General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, to empower humanity through charitable causes of providing education, water, healthcare, and empowerment, especially for women and children.
The inaugural edition of Horizon 2033 in Manhattan, New York opens with guests from all walks of life coming together to celebrate the vision of this initiative. It begins with the unveiling of the new brand visual.
The new brand visual, you say, is not just a design. It is a representation of our spirit. It symbolizes the boundless energy and determination that fuels our mission to drive positive change worldwide. It stands for young lives aspiring to reach their full potential and embrace the values that underpin community and nation building. However, we cannot embark on this journey without acknowledging the challenges that lie before us.
The visionary, Pastor Mrs. Folu Adeboye, explains the inspiration behind Horizon 2033, connecting it to the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations.
Horizon 2033 aims to impact 100 million lives in Africa and globally by 2033. We will do this through community-based social intervention programs that focus primarily on making value-based, inclusive, and equitable quality education more readily available to historically disadvantaged communities.
The role of faith-based organizations cannot be overemphasized.
There's a lot of challenges around the world. We know the impacts of the climate challenge. We know the impacts of the COVID pandemic. We know the impacts of many unsolved conflicts, which are really crippling our continent, not because we're the cause, but because we happen to be the unintended recipients of the outcomes. And for that, I think the solutions really lie at the community. And so having community-based organizations and faith-based organizations work together with business, with governments to deliver is very, very important. After all, change is what really starts at the community level.
For the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, the best legacy to leave behind is one that will have a ripple effect.
Africa is a great nation, is the giant of nations. But this is the way to start. The partnership will get from here. And I was discussing with my parents in the Lord this morning before we entered the room. I said, I don't want to build any building. I just want to invest in lives. And I think with the renewed hope initiative we started is one life at a time. And life is very, very important. Buildings will crumble, but as long as you have blood flowing in your veins, you keep going.
For charitable causes such as this, great partnerships are important.
When we all determine that I will do something, the world will be a different place. It will be a better place.
Governors of Lagos and Akwa Ibom State laud the initiative, pledging their support.
Being of agriculture is actually the rural areas. So we're doing just that, and it coincides with the vision that Horizon 2033 has. So we'll be pleased to work with them. It's such a big work that you're doing, Mommy. It's lofty, lofty vision, but I trust God that as in all other visions of the Redeemed Christian Church, this is already succeeding and it will continue to succeed.
This also fits in clearly with our own vision as a state. And I'm truly, truly glad that at this time we can join you. We can join you with all of the goals that have been set by other world leaders. The Sustainable Development Goals 2030, the African Agenda 2033, the Horizon Vision 2033. It speaks to one thing, that all of us need to work collaboratively together, and we need to do it quicker, faster, and bigger.
And life patron of African Missions Global.
The life patron of African Missions Global, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, who has supported his wife on this journey through the years, believes that the vision is achievable.
When a man living in a room in a slum part of Lagos tells you that God said he's going to build him a city, what will you call him? If you don't say a madman, you say a dreamer. Well, whether we believe it or not, God still being on his throne, within the next 10 years, African Mission Global will have touched at least 100 million lives.
With a successful outing of Horizon 2033 and several impactful initiatives over the years, the African Missions Global hopes to continue its mission of attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, thereby creating a better future for children in Africa and the world at large.
The Nigeria Prize for Science has announced a novel scientific work on respiratory technologies for newborn babies as the winner of the 2023 edition of the annual prize. The prize's advisory board, led by Professor Bath Naji, announced the judge's decision to pick Professor Hippolyte Amadi's inventions as the winner at a press conference in Lagos.
I'm going to take 3.
This press conference is the climax of the 2023 cycle of the Nigeria Prize of Science, a journey which started in February this year. 100 entries went through independent scrutiny and evaluation by a 3-man panel of judges who adjudicated the entries using approved criteria and a theme, innovations for enhancement of healthcare therapy, to arrive at 3 shortlisted entries.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
the chairman of the advisory board announces the decision on the winning entry reached by the judges.
The advisory board of Nigeria Prize for Science unanimously affirmed the consensus decision of the panel of judges and the external consultant, which declared the entry by Hippolyte Amadi, titled Low-Cost Respiratory Technologies for Keeping the Nigerian Neonates Alive.
Professor Hippolyte Amadi's technological inventions for newborns include non-invasive neonatal ventilator, oxygen delivery blender system, and oxygen splitter system. A member of the panel of judges who has visited some of the hospitals in Nigeria where Professor Amadi's technologies are deployed explains how the cost of their usage could be reduced to as low as 750,000 naira, as against 6.5 million naira, with comparable and better efficiency.
The aim of this invention is to be able to keep the lungs open by providing a pressure within the lungs continuously without necessarily putting in a tube. They can be run by solar panels, which means that we all know how difficult the problems we have regarding provision of electricity. So he has taken all that into consideration, and they're available and being used around the country and successfully, and people are very happy with the products.
The sponsor, NLNG, applauds its partners for a job well done.
I thank Professor Naji and other members of the advisory board for their support and contributions to truly make the Nigeria Prize for Science enjoy a deserving international appeal.
The winner of the 2023 Nigeria Prize for Science will be awarded with a $100,000 prize, sponsored by the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas Limited, later in the year.
Business News is up next with Joker Rogers.
Thank you, Ayo. Today, welcome to Business News. Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee has deferred the date of its much-anticipated rates decision meeting, which was scheduled to take place on Monday, September 25 and Tuesday, September 26. This is the first time in 3 years that the Central Bank of Nigeria's MPC would postpone the date of its rates decision. The CBN did not give reasons for the deferment, only that a new date will be communicated to the financial market soon. The postponement comes days after President Bola Tinubu nominated Yemi Cardoso as the new CBN governor amid the ongoing probe against suspended CBN governor Godwin Emefiele. More monetary policy matters, but outside of Nigeria, South Africa's central bank held its own meeting, at the end of which it held key interest rates steady, marking the second time in a row that the bank left its repo rate on hold, even as policymakers cite continued risks to inflation outlook. The Central Bank of South Africa also kept its main lending rates unchanged at 8.25%, in line with analyst expectation. The South African Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee says it wants to see inflation sustainably around the midpoint of its target range of 3% to 6% before considering rate cuts. And the local equities market has sustained negative sentiments for the second straight day this week amid buy interest in Dangote sugar. John Mekwa tells us more.
Thank you so much, okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. Even though it's still a negative trade at the NGX, about 24 hours after President Bola Tinubu rang the closing bell at Nasdaq. Too early to expect some benefit from that, I guess. But it's a marginal drop, 0.09% at 68,271.14. The market cap is still looking safe at 37.365 trillion naira now. 2 weeks before it's being delisted, investors decided to take profits on O&O. After days of gain, I guess is expected. Today, the share dropped 1 naira 45 kobo to close at 13 naira 15 kobo. However, that was not enough to put the oil and gas down because Eternal Oil gained 85 kobo. That overrode that negative sentiment. Banking, however, a mixture in the figures, and so it's down 0.46%. Consumer goods, however, has the market mover of the day, Dangote Sugar. It gained 1 naira 95 kobo, and so we have it with 184 million naira around the market from Dangote Sugar. But this was not enough to keep the bear away from the market.
That's Business News tonight. Ayotunde, back to you.
Many thanks, Joke. The United States has reaffirmed its long-standing commitment to Ukraine's security and goal of lasting peace. This comes as Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky paid a visit to the White House for talks with U.S. President Joe Biden following speeches at the UN in New York, in which he urged countries to unite against Russian aggression. Here's Simon Puzzi with other international stories in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. One of Ukraine's staunchest allies, Poland, has said it is no longer supplying weapons to its neighbour as a diplomatic dispute over grain escalates.
Żadnego uzbrojenia na Ukrainę z tego względu.
Poland's Prime Minister said the country's focus was instead on defending itself with more modern weapons. Poland has already sent Ukraine 320 Soviet-era tanks and 14 MiG-29 fighter jets and has a little more to offer. However, the remarks coincide with high tensions between the two neighbours. Media mogul Rupert Murdoch has stepped down from his role as chairman of Fox Corporation and executive chairman of News Corp. In the role, he was in charge of some of the best-known brands in the United Kingdom, United States and Australia. In a statement today, the 92-year-old said he was in good health and was truly proud of what we have achieved collectively through the decades.
Everybody knows what happened.
Murdoch began his career in newspapers aged 22 when he inherited a half share in 2 Adelaide papers. He went on to become the most powerful media mogul in the world. The official transition will take place in November, with his son Lachlan taking control of both organisations. Azerbaijan's president has declared that his country's sovereignty has been restored over Nagorno-Karabakh after a 24-hour military offensive against ethnic Armenian forces. Ilham Aliyev praised the heroism of Azerbaijan's army hours after Karabakh forces agreed to surrender. Some 120,000 ethnic Armenians live in the South Caucasus enclave, recognized internationally as part of Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan now intends to bring the breakaway region under full control. At least 7 people have been injured in a Russian attack on a central Ukrainian city of Cherkasy. Rescuers were digging in the rubble of a hotel hit by a missile. The emergency services posted a video showing rescue operations underway. Authorities said more victims could be buried under the rubble. Iran's parliament has passed a controversial bill that would increase prison terms and fines for women and girls who break its strict dress code. Those dressed improperly face up to 10 years in jail under the bill, for which a 3-year trial was agreed. It still needs to be approved by the Guardian Council to become law. The move comes a year after protests erupted over the death in custody of Mahsa Amini, who was held by morality police for an alleged improper hijab. Venezuela has sent 11,000 troops to regain control of one of its biggest prisons that had been overrun by a powerful criminal gang. The Turocan prison in the north of the country was under the control of the Tren du Aragua mega gang for years. Members were able to roam freely around the prison, which had hotel-like facilities, including a pool, a nightclub and a mini zoo. Officials said the 6,000 inmates would be transferred to other prisons. South Korean police are investigating 17 US officers and 5 other people who allegedly smuggled or used synthetic marijuana via military mail. This follows raids in at least 2 US Army bases in May, including Camp Humphreys, its largest overseas base. A Filipino and a South Korean have been arrested, while prosecutors review the cases against all 22 suspects. A tip from the US Army's enforcement arm had sparked a 4-month investigation by Korean authorities. And the TikTok craze of cheese stretching has come to Somerset in England when crisp company Doritos pulled off their own stunt. A helicopter pilot managed to dip a large nacho into a special cheese blend nestled inside a 14-foot-high replica pile of nachos and cheese, and then stretch the cheese mix 49 feet without it snapping. The spectacular display took over a month of planning and preparation with combined help of cheese scientists, experienced helicopter pilots, and the local team on the ground in Cheddar Gorge. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Our tracking of the sports scene begins on the continent where the Super Eagles of Nigeria have been placed in Pot 2 alongside Ghana, Cameroon, Mali, DR Congo and Burkina Faso for the draw of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations scheduled for October 12th. The seeding for the draw, which was released by CAF this afternoon, could see Pereira's men face host Cote d'Ivoire, holders Teranga Lions of Senegal, Atlas Lions of Morocco, Carthage Eagles of Tunisia and the Pharaohs of Egypt in the group stage. And outside Africa, Liverpool began their Europa League campaign with a turnaround 3-1 victory at last, thanks to goals from David Nunes, Luis Diaz, and Mo Salah. As you can see on the screen, Roma were able to get an away goal. Panathinaikos were quite successful in Villarreal, and of course, 4-0 Bayern Leverkusen against Häcken right there at the Europa League. So let's go on to other stories on the international scene. In football, England captain Millie Bright has confirmed the Lionesses have reached an agreement with FA over pay and bonuses, bringing an end to their ongoing dispute. The Rift dominated the build-up to the England's World Cup campaign this summer, but has ended ahead of the Nations League fixtures, starting with the visit of Scotland to the Stadium of Light in Sunderland on Friday.
Many thanks, Jeffrey. And the main news again. It was another day of massive protest in Lagos today as fans of Afrobeat singer Mohbad gathered to honor him in a candlelight procession as police concluded an autopsy on his body. And the Director General of the National Youth Service Corps has assured families of corps members who were abducted on their way to camp in Zamfara State that they will soon be released by their abductors. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. You have a good night.